All right, welcome everyone. Just a few minutes here to walk through the course syllabus and take a brief glance at the course Blackboard site. The Blackboard site, of course, given our online status, will be the kind of the anchor, the go-to for all information and weekly assignments. And we'll take a quick look at that. Please let me know if you have any immediate questions upon watching this, and I'll get to them as quickly as I can. All right, here's the syllabus. At the top, you can find my name. I am Dr. Jeff Winkle, and my office here is on the third floor of Finkelstein Hall, formerly called Main Hall, the main building here at GRCC. Just because of COVID, I'm not having regular office hours here. But if you're comfortable, if you would like to come in, I would love that. To meet you. So if you want to come in and talk face to face, I vastly prefer doing that than digitally. So if you want to, if you're able to, and you want to talk about an assignment or a paper or a test, just let me know and we can work something out. Here's my office phone. We're in the process of kind of packing up and moving offices right now, and so don't bother calling this number just because I'm going to be in the office so irregularly anyway. The best way to get a hold of me is by my email address here, jeffreywinkle@grcc. Just note the spelling of Jeffrey. It's R-E instead of ER as you sometimes seeing it. And so I will expect that you'll be using your GRCC email accounts. That's when if I send mass emails to the class through Blackboard, it goes to that account. So please do use that. I'm not going to dwell on all the details here. Course information. You'll see this addressed in other video lectures, but just broadly speaking, this class, classical mythology, is one that's uh, 95%, you might say, focused on the myths of the ancient Greeks. We'll dip into perhaps some Mesopotamian or Egyptian myths or some later Roman myths, but this is really focused on the mythology produced by the ancient Greeks, which compared to kind of the surrounding Mediterranean peoples is by far the largest and most prolific and richest source or catalog of stories, myths, and legends. But we'll be taking a kind of a really, I love this class because there's so many different angles that you can approach mythology from. So, of course, obviously, we'll be reading lots of stories, but we'll be considering myth as theology. These were gods that the ancient Greeks worshipped and believed in. What did that mean? What did that look like? We'll be looking at lots of archaeology. What are the physical remains of temples and buildings and sites? Where is myth located in ancient history? We're talking about 2,500, 3,000 years ago. What was what do we know about ancient Greek history at the time that might help us better understand these stories? And even things like philosophy too. Mythology is inseparable from all of these things. And that's what makes it a really rich and a really fun topic to dive into. We'll be looking at lots of different genres, poetry. We'll be looking at drama, tragedy. If we have some time, some ancient comedy, prose. We'll be watching a couple of films together. And so, yeah, I hope you find this class a lot of fun. It's one of my favorites to teach. It's right in the wheelhouse of my own kind of academic expertise. As I think I said on the welcome video, I've done lots of traveling in Greece and Italy, and I've been studying this material for a long, long time. And I hope that my excitement and passion about it comes through in this digital format. You can look at the student learning outcomes yourself, and let me know if you have questions. Textbooks. I've already gotten a few questions from you students about what are the required texts. Our main anchor text will be this one here, Barry Powell's Classical Myth, the 8th edition. If you can find an earlier edition that's cheaper, I'm all for students saving money. Get within reason, get the most recent edition that you can. That will coordinate better with quizzes and references that I use on the Blackboard site. But that will be our anchor text. That's kind of our source text, which we'll be using throughout the course. And then we'll also be reading together Homer's Odyssey in its entirety in this translation. And I also realized that probably some of you, again, this course assumes no previous knowledge of mythology, so don't worry about that. But I'm guessing that probably some of you have encountered Homer's Odyssey in some regard, in either high school or maybe another college literature class. And so if you already have a translation of the Odyssey, and you don't want to spend extra money on another one, that's fine. If you're able to, please do get the Stanley Lombardo translation. I think it's one of the best out there. It's very readable. It's very user friendly, especially for students who are brand new to this subject matter. And it's not. It's you usually can find copies, new and used, at a very reasonable price. So do it if you can, but if you can't, I understand. Just do know that if I like on a quiz or a test, um, if I quote from the Odyssey and ask you, to identify the speaker or to analyze a passage, I will be using Lombardo's translation. Attendance policy. Again, it's different. We're online. There's a lot more, in many ways, a lot more of kind of the responsibility for the class is on you. You have to check into Blackboard weekly. You have to make sure that you're getting everything done in a timely fashion. But it's not attendance in terms of you showing up to a particular place at a particular time. As I said in the welcome video, this is an asynchronous class, and so there will not be times where we'll meet through Zoom or Google Classroom, anything like that. Each week we'll have a list of things that I want you to watch, to view, to read, to comment on, to be quizzed on, and it's up to you to get that done. And so your attendance will be based on your timely submission of assignments, the quality of your post to the discussion board. I'll say more about that in just a moment. The grading breakdown is as follows here. So there's 1,000 possible points in the class, divided in these equal segments. So your participation, your timely submission, your discussion offerings in the forums, worth a total of 200 possible points. Each week, pretty much without exception, you will be asked to take timed reading quizzes on the reading designed or assigned for that week, and those will be worth a total of 200 possible points. There will be one research paper in the class, and I'm not going to say really any details about that now, just to not overwhelm you with material, but about halfway through the class, I'll put up that assignment, and I guess have another video kind of walking through that as well. There'll be two formal tests in the class, the midterm and the final exam. Those will both be take-home essay tests. I'll probably give you a choice of essays to write on 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. You'll type those up, and you will upload them to Blackboard Site by a given deadline. Just note the midterm and the final, they will not contain any kind of objective, multiple choice, true or false, fill in the blank, none of that kind of stuff. The reading quizzes really take care of all of that stuff. But as these tests approach, we will also spend time in our weekly folders kind of talking about the tests, what it will look like, the best way to approach these essays, to break them down, and to prepare for this. All right, what else we got here? A note about my grading scale here. And so my grading scale is what I call a fairly straight scale. So 950 points to 1,000 points would be an A. So that percentage-wise it breaks down to 95% to 100% is an A. And I note that just because I've heard from students that in other classes at CC, it's fairly common to find 93%, or in this case, the points would be 930 points to 1,000 points would be an A. My grading scale is a little bit more demanding than that. I just want everybody to be aware of that, so there's no surprise at the end. I don't think that you'll find I'm a particular nefarious or harsh grader. But I do think that straight A work should absolutely reflect or be awarded to straight A work should be a cut above, and straight A's should only go to excellent, beyond the pale, excellent kind of work. So just keep that in mind. Generally speaking, I will not accept late work. I'll give you some grace in these upcoming weeks, just because we're all dealing with new stuff. But once we're kind of get 3 weeks in, I'll expect that you will be completing the assignments in a timely fashion. You'll get the stuff done in a weekly folder by the end of that week, and so on and so forth. But I'll be as clear and upfront about what I'm expecting as possible as we get into this. From time to time, I'm going to have you respond to what I call big idea forum questions, and there'll be kind of a thought question on kind of a broad umbrella topic from that week. and you will post to the discussion forum, and these will be graded accordingly. Just knock it out of the park. Answer will get you 20 participation points. Something a little bit good, but lacking some of the required elements, 15 and 5 and down to 0. You can read the reasons and the rubric for yourself, but those again will all add up to a possible 200 points for the class. Here's the course schedule. I've divided it into weeks rather than days. On the Blackboard site, which we'll take a look at in just a second. We will each week will have its own folder. These are the assignments for that week, and almost without exception, there'll be reading quizzes on the reading assignments for that week. So we'll be talking first broadly about kind of mythology in general. We'll talk about creation myths. How did the Greeks see the beginnings of the world, and where do the gods come from? Then we'll get into some Homer, and you can see a big chunk of our time will be dominated by reading the Odyssey and looking at particular specific gods and goddesses along the way. We'll be watching 2 films in the class and analyzing them. The first one will be is "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?", which is a film which came out about 20 years ago now, by the great Coen brothers, and it's a if you haven't seen the film, it's a wonderful film that is a retelling of Homer's Odyssey, but it takes place in the American South in the 1930s and stars George Clooney in the Odysseus or Ulysses role. It's a really great film that stands on its own. You don't have to know anything about the Odyssey to love this film, but it's to watch the film having just read the Odyssey, I think is really quite a powerful and meaningful experience. Then we'll have 1 week just simply dedicated to the midterm, where you, again, like I said, you'll do take-home essays and upload them to the Blackboard site, and so you'll have 1 week to not even think about any other reading, but just to focus on that. Then we'll get into some kind of mythos theology, what we call mystery cults. We'll have a section on Greek drama. We'll be reading a number of plays from Greek antiquity. Then we have our second film, which is actually a Woody Allen film called Vicky Cristina Barcelona, which if I had to guess, you probably haven't seen it or even heard of it. It's a film that probably many would say has nothing to do with Greek mythology, but I am going to try to convince you, and I'm really eager to hear what you have to say if you agree or you disagree. And I should say I love to be disagreed with. I saw this film. I thought, wow, it really reminds me of this play, Euripides' Bacchae. And so I'm going to try to make the pitch that this is you could read that film, quote unquote, read this film, interpret this film along the lines of this ancient play, and it makes I think for a really much more kind of interesting viewing experience. And then we'll end where on a section where you might think we would begin, but I think this is a really fun way to end the course, where we're looking at heroes, and we'll it's kind of a greatest hits. We'll be looking at the stories of Heracles. You might have know him as Hercules for whatever reason. That's his Roman name, but that survived better than his Greek name. Heracles, same guy. Theseus, Jason, and Perseus to round out our time looking at ancient Greek heroes. You can look at this stuff on your own. This is stuff, college policies, that's required to put in the syllabus. But there's helpful email addresses, websites, phone numbers if you need any help, accommodations, or need to report anything that needs reporting. All right, let's have a look at the course Blackboard site. So when you go to the course Blackboard site, it will look like this. I have a welcome page under the announcements and kind of a cheesy, cartoony graphic here of the major Olympian deities, the 12 major Olympian deities, all of which we'll take in large and small degrees a close look at. The most important link on the course Blackboard site is this one, the weekly assignments. And so let me just open that now. So you'll find an orientation folder where you will actually find this video, a welcome message from myself, and then we hit the ground running. So each week will have its own folder. So I click click open week 1, and you'll find again quite a horrible graphic of Zeus and Hera up here, the king and queen of the gods, and each folder will tell you, we'll have kind of a list, a breakdown of what I want you to do for that week. So for the first week of class, watch the videos in the orientation folder. I have a video lecture on kind of what is myth, which kind of talks about mythology in general and more about the class. I'm asking you to read the first 3 chapters in the Powell text, the classical myth text, and then you'll take a timed reading quiz on those 3 chapters. So the reading quizzes, the way these work, you open them up. I generally speaking, so here I usually give you kind of, in terms of time, I give a number of minutes, how many questions there are, and then plus half. So here, this quiz is 18 questions, and so you have kind of 18 plus 9 minutes to complete the quiz, which I think you'll find is plenty of time. You can attempt the quizzes twice. Just know that the software will then average your two scores together. Why do I time them? Well, this is just, again, just to encourage you to actually do the reading and not just, take your time and flip through the book to find the answers and answer them. That's, which is kind of a useless exercise. This is just, it's really, these are designed to kind of keep you on task and to keep you, kind of up to speed, and kind of just to kind of nudge you to read the book. Like I said, in an online class, there's a lot more onus placed on you to get this stuff done. The quiz, when you take them after an attempt, it will show you which ones you got wrong. Again, if you get them all right, there's no need to take it again, and that perfect score will go immediately to your grade book. Over here, just other things. All the discussion. When I do ask you to kind of respond and do a big idea response, the discussion forum will contain these and put them all together. But again, you'll find everything or links to everything in these weekly assignment folders. You can find my information, same information that's on the syllabus under the instructor link. Tools and research resources. This will become useful once we start talking about the paper and finding, primary and secondary, legitimate primary and secondary sources to use for the paper. Again, I will go through all of this in detail as we go along. And then a syllabus link where you can find a copy of the syllabus digitally waiting for you. All right, I think that's all I got to say at this juncture. And let me know if you have questions. Let me know if I've glossed over something, or if you think I missed something. And I hope to hear from all of you soon. See ya.